everyone. Are you happy? Are you excited? Excited to be here? Let's hear it. Welcome, welcome. We're grateful to welcome our distinguished guests and fellow champions of inclusive development in Africa to the vibrant city of Marrakesh. And I say, when you pick a place that is hosting President Macron, the Fashion Trust Arabia, and Bugatti's Morocco tour, then we know that we have the right location and timing for the APF conference. Since, a round of applause. Bugatti and the president, please. Since our first conference in 2014 in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, we have hosted 6 conferences in Rabat, Morocco, so we love it so much we're back here. We have hosted another conference in Lagos, Nigeria, in Johannesburg, South Africa, and twice in Kigali, Rwanda. Although we have held 8 regional meetings in the past 2 years, this is our first conference since 2018 that brings everyone together, and we couldn't be more excited and grateful. Nothing compares to the energy and magic of bringing into the same room so many brilliant minds, all united by a common cause, our dedication to shaping a bright future for our continent. Seeing over 200 dedicated individuals from at least 23 countries, it probably may be more, but we have 23 in our records, gathered under one roof is both inspiring and powerful, and it's a testament to our shared commitment to Africa's transformation and future. Now, depending on how you count, we have spent the past 6 months, or 182 days, or 4,380 hours with experts to curate a conference that is aptly themed A New Agenda for African Philanthropy, catalyzing funding to accelerate Africa's transformation. And you know that we're bringing you an enriching experience to everyone that is in attendance. It is our hope that every discussion is rich with insights and every moment offers opportunities for reflection, growth, and strategic alignment towards our shared vision. Over the next 2 days, we will explore ways to strengthen South-South and North-South collaborations and strategically mobilize resources to drive meaningful change on the continent. We have put together an exceptional lineup of speakers and leaders who some of you already met and you're interacting with, and they have been instrumental to driving key conversations and initiatives across Africa and even across the world. As we discuss issues centered around climate, education, youth employment, gender justice, and more, we will harness the power of collaboration to co-create innovative solutions, distilling them into an action plan that will serve as an agenda, not just for APF, but for the African community to run with. And in true APF fashion, beyond the formal agenda, we have also provided, and we are providing, opportunities to interact, engage, make meaningful connections, and experience Morocco's rich history, culture, and traditions, which you already began to enjoy yesterday. So I encourage each of you to continue to network, immerse yourselves in the spirit of the conference, and do take advantage of the conference app, OVA. How many of you are on OVA? Okay, great, a good number. If you are not on OVA, bring out your phone and download OVA. There are meaningful connections that are already taking place. The enthusiastic engagement we have seen on the app underscores our collective eagerness to learn from one another. Let's continue to foster this environment of openness, sharing our experiences, challenges, and vision for the future. I would like to take a moment to express deep gratitude to our partners and supporters who have made this event possible. We're a nonprofit. This can only happen when we have partners. And so we would like to extend our heartfelt appreciation to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bloomberg, C.S. Mott Foundation, the Conrad N. Hilton Foundation, MacArthur Foundation, and our partners at DESO, Elmer Philanthropies. And I would like to say a special thank you to Global Philanthropy Forum, which incubated APF and represented here by Sarah Howard, their CEO. I began leading APF in 2017, and since then, I have been in awe of the dedication of our board members, past and present, who give their time and resources and even cover their own expenses to attend our events and meetings. Their commitment is a shining example of true leadership and generosity. Since our last conference, we have experienced a transition in leadership from our founding chair, Mrs. Siti Masiyiwa, to Mr. Gbenga Oyebode. Mr. Oyebode has stepped into his role as board chair with exceptional, I say that again, exceptional grace. His contributions to both professional and philanthropic sectors are renowned, but it is his unwavering passion for Africa's development that truly sets him apart. Mr. Oyebode is the founder and counsel of Aluko and Oyebode, one of the largest integrated law firms in Nigeria. He is a philanthropist who is passionate about education and the arts and holds several key positions within the sector. He is the chairman of Teach for All and is a trustee of Ford Foundation. He is a member of the board of Smithsonian National Museum of African Art and the Cleveland Museum of Art International Collectors Council. Mr. Oyebode holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Ife in Nigeria and a Master of Law degree from the University of Pennsylvania. He is a member of the Nigerian Bar Association, the American Bar Association, and the International Bar Association. He is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators in the UK. He holds one of Nigeria's highest honors as a member of the Order of the Federal Republic, and he is a recipient of the Belgian Royal Honor of Knight of the Order of Leopold. Mr. Oyebode exemplifies servant leadership at his finest. His generosity of spirit, the depth of his expertise, his relentless pursuit for excellence have been instrumental in the advancement of shared goals. He has generously devoted his time, resources, and wisdom to ensure that APF not only thrives, but also leads the charge in catalyzing transformative change across the continent. It is my honor to welcome someone who has flown several, and when I mean several, I know a lot of you have been trapped, you missed flights, your flights were delayed, and for those who stood on the queue at immigration for 3 hours, please give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. Mr. Oyebode has been to almost every country with me. I have dragged him across continent. He was with us in New York for Onga, came to Nigeria, flew back. He's been traveling for 2 weeks nonstop. I mean it, 2 weeks nonstop. Left Detroit, flew to Brussels, had 2 board meetings, and came to Marrakesh. So please put your hands together as I welcome my boss, the board chair of African Philanthropy Forum, Mr. Gbenga Oyebode.
Thank you very much, Mosun. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, philanthropists, colleagues, our partners, what can I say? I look at the room and in our very typical APF fashion, we thrive on our convenings, be they our big conferences or our regional convenings. And as I look around the room, further confirms to me that the philanthropic community in Africa is thriving, is strong, is resilient, and it's paying attention to the issues that all of us consider to be important. This year's theme, a new agenda for African philanthropy, catalyzing funding to accelerate Africa's transformation, is not a tagline that we picked, is not there just so that it looks nice. It's the core of what we believe is the next phase of what philanthropists should be doing on the continent. For too long, have we looked outside the continent for grants, for sponsorship, for aid? Our view is that Africa is ripe, is ready. It's time for us to use the resources of our continent, of our diaspora, to achieve the objectives that we've all set for ourselves. So part of the engagement today is a rallying call, a cry that says that this is the time for us to do what we know we need to do, for us to do it ourselves, but for us to focus on how the continent can achieve those objectives. So I usually say that philanthropy is more than just giving. It's a strategic investment in the potential that exists. And this is a continent that we talk more about the potential than we talk about what's been done. We talk a lot, we execute extremely poorly. My view, in this area of philanthropy, it's time for us to start executing. And that is that transformational agenda that we'd like to set at this meeting. So one of the issues that we tend to grapple with is our youthful population. It's both a benefit and it's a burden. And I typically like addressing it with statistics because I think that we talk about it, but doesn't hit us, doesn't make us the realization of how difficult population growth is, hasn't sunk in yet. So let me just pull out a couple of numbers that situates the reason for our existence, but more importantly, the reason we should be doing more in achieving objectives. And a little comparison between my favorite country, I'm sure you know, Nigeria, and Morocco. Because I think it's important that while we live on the same continent, there are some stark statistics that we should situate, put in context. So Morocco has a population of 38 million people. Its median age is about 29. Its population density is about 85, and population growth is 1%. Nigeria today has 236 million people. Median age, 17. Population density, so remember that I said population density of Morocco is 85. In Nigeria is 255. Population growth, 3% flat year on year. 2% of the world's population is Nigerian. But this one statistic that I will tell you is the one that should scare you the most. So if I asked you, where's the highest birth rate in the world? I suspect that you wouldn't think it was Nigeria. So 47 births per 1,000. So we're 236 today. We're going to be 400 million people conceivably within our lifetimes. So I also like telling people, maybe those numbers don't scare you. So we have 25,000 babies born every day. 25,000 babies born every day. We add to population 6 million people every year. That's roughly the size of Belgium. That youthful bulge, that population, while it is a benefit, it's a burden. But inherent in that are the opportunities that I think all of us need to understand exist, needs to understand that we need to solve. Inherent in those numbers are the key reasons for us being here, for us dimensioning the problem, for us looking for solutions, and actually for solving it. That, for me, is the critical part. So let me say very clearly again, 1.4 billion of us on the continent today, roughly 2.5 in the year 2050. So let me then tell you what I think APF does extremely well. What do we do well? We do convenings well, as can be seen by this conference. I typically say to Mosun, we also do our regional convenings very well. So if you've been with us in Accra, in Abidjan, in Nairobi, we go to places where we recognize that the people who need us may not be able to come to our big conferences like this. So we do that extremely well. And we engage at those levels where our power of convening is way beyond what you can imagine. We are able to bring philanthropists into the room. We're able to bring oligarchs into the room. We're able to bring people at the bottom of the pyramid that need our assistance into the room when we do our regional convenings. Civil society is represented at our convenings. Governments are represented. For me, that's what we do extremely well. And that, by the way, I don't know of any other philanthropic organization that does that on this continent. That's the strength of the APF. But the second thing that we do well, at least that we've tried and focus people's attention on, strategic giving. Our view is that Africans give. It's second nature to us. The one thing that we tend not to do well is that we're very emergency givers, generally. Somebody comes up to you with a need. You sort out that need. The next day, they come with a different need, whether it's education, healthcare, all kinds of things. Our view is, from local communities up the ladder, can we pick our area of expertise? Can we pick our area of need? So if it's education, please give to education. If it's healthcare, let's give to healthcare. But the scattergun approach to giving, I believe, has been part of the problem on the continent. So let me say that the transformational power of strategic giving, properly organized, will focus on educational programs, on investment in healthcare, even collecting art, because what it does is it enhances the ability of the creative sector to grow, even in our local communities. So let me say that, by the way, we're starting to see more and more. So in this room, sitting side by side, are local philanthropists, local organizations that are focusing on the continent, sitting side by side with international organizations that are also looking worldwide at areas of need and areas that they would like to impact on. So let me say that strategy, innovative philanthropic models, focusing on sustainability and scalability, those are the nuggets I would like to leave you with at this convening. An investment in our youth, a future that's inclusive, one that includes the marginalized on our continent. That, for me, if we're able to achieve a conversation around those issues, actually we would have achieved, would have focused attention on the gaps that I think exist on our continent. And I think, and actually I know, just based on looking at the different sectors of the economies on our continent that are represented in this room today, from across the continent, I know that we would have sent a signal, but more than just a signal, I know that we would have laid the groundwork for growth, for impact, for achievement, for sustainability. Actually, for the execution that I say we don't do extremely well, I think we would have set the basis, the platform for achieving those objectives. So before I go, it's important for me first to acknowledge some of my fellow directors of the APF who are here today. Musu's acknowledged Siti Masiyiwa, Queen Sylvia, Ndidi Muneli, founder directors of the APF who've rolled off the board. But I would be failing in my duties if I didn't recognize Sweden Muyantwali, Vanessa Monga. Vanessa is here in spite of the fact that she's just had a baby, but you know, the support that Yimpini Mabunda. I think it's important that I also recognize two of our directors who are not here, but have been extremely focused on the objective. English Saul and Puti Mayanale Dabengwa, who unfortunately couldn't make it here for this meeting. We wouldn't be having such a great, and sorry to do this, it's first day, we haven't gotten to the end yet, but I couldn't sit down if I don't recognize Mosu and the team. So you know how boards tend to behave like as if they run the company, but they show up only 4 times a year. There's a team that delivers fantastic conferences. There's a team that keeps the flag flying. There's a team that organizes conferences and makes sure that the APF is top of mind. That team is led by Mosun. And as you can see, while she says she has bosses, she's the boss of bosses. So again, to Mosun and the team, thank you very much for a great job. So as I come to the end of my opening remarks, let me introduce our keynote speaker. And our keynote speaker is someone who we're here in Marrakesh, so we wanted somebody to speak to us about Morocco. But we also have an African audience. So, and we couldn't find anybody better than Abdou Diop. And I say that knowing fully well that the role he plays covers the continent. So he's managing partner of Mazars. I mean, some of you would know Mazars as a leading accounting firm, but he's also chair of the Africa practice. So he has an Africa view. But more importantly, he's been doing this for over 25 years, but he's been doing it here in Morocco. He's been doing it with the biggest corporates in this market. He's essentially represented major multinationals operating in Morocco, and I'm not going to do a laundry list of these companies, but let me assure you that they cover the spectrum of this market. He's also president of the Africa and South-South Commission for Moroccan Enterprises. So what that says to you, and I'm sure that in your various markets, you've started to see, at least we've started to see in Nigeria, significant Moroccan investment. Banks, in the oil and gas sector, in private equity. Now, so Abdul is going to talk to us to kick off the conference. And as I said to you, we're in Morocco, so he has a Moroccan view. But we're African, and he has an African view. One that I respect, one that in a world where side by side with philanthropy, we must understand that in today's world, private equity, foreign investment, impact capital are critical to the issues that we're talking about. So we're not distinct from each other. We all collaborate to achieve the same objectives. And what are those objectives? Economic growth, dealing with our marginalized communities, civil society and democracy. Critical factors that we know we will not be able to achieve our objectives on this continent if we do not create jobs for our people, if we do not drag people up from the bottom. So to end, two things that I tell people when I wear my Teach for All hat. Two things that will kill us on our continent. Income inequality and education inequity. So please let us remember that. Income inequality and education inequity. And we're not going to get there just through people investing. We're going to get there because of this room. Because, by the way, maybe you think that philanthropists are not investors. You actually are investing in the sustainability of our communities, in the growth that we perceive, that we want in our communities. You are investors as big as the biggest oligarchs. We just have a different way of arriving at the same objective. Thank you very much for listening to me.